Okay, so hi, my name is Kim Cook, and I'm going to go through a fun presentation that I put together through several years of intense study on just about a little bit of everything, not skilled or knowledgeable 100% about absolutely anything, but if you know too much about one subject, you get hyper-focused and you're not open to how all the puzzle pieces come together. So start with books with no words and just pictures, and I think that's really resembles the concept that you're going to learn everything you need to through the interpretations of the archetypes, through a tarot deck's cards, and what you're going to get is the life path, the hero's journey that you're about to embark on, that you write the words. So it's a universal deck for every soul, but you define what it means. And I think that that's basically what a higher consciousness is always going to be. And another thing is that there is no debating about truth, and a lot of that needs to get wound back. Things are, I've always said that there's no such thing as black and white. That everything is gray. But today, with my new knowledge that natural law is the black and white, there is black and white, and then there is gray, but you can't make the black or the white gray. It is black, it is white, and there is gray made between the two. And I think that people try and take black and white away in the metaphorical yin and yang, feminine and masculine, right and wrong. These are things that just are. So, this is the Fool's Journey of Heroism, Hidden Occult Knowledge. It is the root, your feet to the crown. Soul's seed of God's growth grows within. Magician's choice, once you've mastered or done a lot of work on the internal first aspect of your tree, you go back and you do a second version that is more encompassing the whole consciousness. So the first one is the I, the second one is the eye of the whole, the universal I. So you'll see that a lot with the way that I like to describe things. So it is karmic's life. Karma, they say, it comes around whether it's in this life or another. Basic concept, everything that I'm saying is my belief. Yours might be different, and that's okay. That's the whole point of the tarot and Kabbalah, and all religions have elements of the same truth within the gray. And so this is my interpretation, and the only intent that I have is to get people excited to do deeper knowledge and research for themselves, because that is what we're here to do. And it is very frustrating to see people so aloof and they don't care, or they're just stuck and they think they already know everything, or they're only going to stay in one path of knowledge. Again, personal choices, but I'm trying to spread seeds because I think it's really important. And a lot of my inspiration are from people that feel the same. So I think that Kabbalah is a pretty fun word. It reminds me of abracadabra, so I looked it up, and of course it just really resonated really well. It's, the fool becomes aware and then to intent. And that's where karma is also going to come into play as well. So what's the original meaning of abracadabra? I will create as I speak. So powerful, the vibrations and the heart's intent going out and affecting the universal. It is from the Arabic phrase avra kadabra, meaning I will create as I speak. The source is 3 Hebrew words: Ab, father; Ben, son; and Rauch, which is an interesting surname as well. I can't say that word. Akadosha. I don't do speaking or spelling or English very well, so forgive me, which means Holy Spirit, the Trinity. So, and you'll learn that the magician is very important here as well in the tarot. Kabbalah and tarot are kind of two separate things, but just like all the similarities in religions, what's happening is that you're having elements of truth in everything, and these two just happen to correlate so beautifully. Like all my teachers have shown, is that to learn one is to learn the other. And I think that's really how that came about for me as well. Actually, I'm going to make sure this is recording. So there is a little bit of an echo going on, and I'm not in the mood to argue or fight. It doesn't sound too bad. It almost sounds like it's something that should be resonating or coming back again and again, repeating until I feel like it's been heard. A lot of people have been ignoring, not even supporting me. And you know what? It just is disappointing, but that's fine. I will work harder to fulfill my life's passion. Which is to have people wake up, care. Nonetheless, let's get back to it. So I have a lot of fun information regarding the shapes of these toys I got my son. They're really, really cool. We'll get to that later. So I wanted to start out with occult knowledge. Occultism is the body of science which is not widely known to the general population, consisting of the hidden knowledge about the workings of the human psyche and the laws of nature, both seen physical laws and the unseen spiritual laws. Mark Passio, you can find him on What on Earth is Happening. He has the availability to share what he can and not look for monetary gain, because that is the source of enslavement. If you send him a 2 terabyte hard drive, he will fill it up so, and send it back to you. Check him out. He really hits upon a lot of very important things. He did, I think, put this is supposed to be the minor arcana, is 1 through the major cards, and then the minor are basically the deck of cards, I'm sorry, and the major arcana is the Fool going through to the world. So this should say micro and macro. So the microcosmic world, the inner world for us on the inside, is the knowledge of self, the knowledge of the human psyche and how it operates. The macrocosmic, when you basically go through the tree again for the second half of the major arcana, you are going to continue work on self, but you're focused on trying to grasp and bring people towards the center of what you've learned. What are you going to do with your newfound knowledge? Are you going to be selfish, or are you going to help others, help the world, help the I, help the universal consciousness, the universal whole? So it is more about the outer world, knowledge of natural law, the universal moral law. This is black, it is white. Knowledge of the physical sciences. So when you pair the tree of life, and as seen above, as seen below, inner, outer, you are going to create what looks like a DNA strand. There's a lot of fun stuff that correlate. So the infinitely, it's more than fortune telling. This is a tradition that uses rich, multifaceted symbolism portrayed upon a deck of 78 cards to convey the truth regarding the aspects of our inner being and the laws of the cosmos. The tarot deck consists of 2 components, the major arcana and the minor arcana. The major arcana consists of 22 cards, 11 of which deal with the aspects of the human psyche, and 11 of which deal with the aspects of natural law, the outer world. The minor arcana consists of 56 cards divided into 4 suits: wands, cups, swords, and coins, each consisting of 14 cards, ace through 10, and 4 court cards for each suit. They all correlate to, the standard deck of cards. So we are going to start with coins, which is the earth aspect. I like to picture this as the earthly plane, and we're representing the ground of which. So coins are material inherent qualities. Then if you go down to without a line, it represents a cup, so it's very fitting, and this is for water, of course. It rests on earth, so this is regarding our emotional plane of that nature, and you can see what it represents. This is a very feminine card, the chalice, you can go on and on. Then we also have the fire, which is represented as, a triangle, picture of fire flaming upwards, and it is the wand. I always like to picture abracadabra. You're always going to be able to create. And the sword has a line through the sky, and it's going to slice through fire, slice through air. This is the intellect mental plane for swords, and wands is action, plane of will. I will, you will manifest, create, and whatnot. Okay? So, again, when you interpret this for yourself and you do your own studies, things will be of light to you, and it may not be exactly what I'm saying to you, as everything that I have learned, I have kind of correlated to my own, with little bits of differences here and there. So, Hathor cultivates wheel of truth, law, and pleads for growth. When you break down words, it's really fun to see the root origin or the lack of information thereof when you research certain things, and we'll get into a couple of examples of that later. So right here you can kind of go ahead and see some of the breakdowns of words, and this is interesting. This came up with a poem that came up the other day that I went ahead and included later. So I'm going to try and go through this pretty fast because I'm trying not to speak at people. I really am trying to give an interest for you to study upon yourself. So the Kabbalah and the chakra correlates to various aspects of the human mental and emotional characteristics. An 11th sphere named Dath is not considered as one of the sephirots, but rather as the place from which the entire tree grows, corresponding to the realm of the hidden or occult knowledge. From my understanding, when this was taught to initiates long ago, this was the key to figure out Dath. So this was the thing that you were to go find the key to the Fool, and the key to this area of knowledge. This, the earthly kingdom, which is, in fact, in my belief, this is hell. Our life here is hell, that we chose to be here, to learn lessons, to grow on a spiritual level. And if you don't get all the lessons that you need, you don't go to a hell of torture. You just have to be reincarnated until you learn your lessons. When you're done, you can ascend and move on to what's next. So as long as you want to experience and learn and grow and create, they say some people have an old soul, so here is the Tree of Life corresponded to the card numbers. This is the Fool card: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're going to start up at the top, which is the crown. This is where we're looking to be. Right now we are at the material realm. The Fool becomes earthbound and goes through these trials to climb up to obtain the gift of knowledge of mastery of magic, okay? So we start off with the Wheel of Fortune. The Fool becomes to the Wheel of Fortune. Other people, I think, have kind of done this differently, but once I saw this version from Mark, it just makes sense, and I even sway a little bit away from Mark's. This is your birth wheel. This is where we're going. Once you get up and master and understand so much as the magician, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and come back. You're going to come back and go through this again, but instead, this is going to be different. This is going to be feminine, this is masculine, and this is Centra, right? Centra, look how important Centra is, and these center keys are going to be very important as well. So we're going to go ahead and start off with the self, soul, and individual as the Fool. And then as the macrocosmic tree of life, we're looking as the soul, the self, the individual, the I, but as the eye of the universe, okay? Astrological sign, right? Your birthing wheel. So you're going to go up, and then you're going to have the desire to know and learn and grow, okay? Then it's going to have to take some courage, to have willpower, to care and generative principles, to notice how this is connected. The love card is connected to everything because this is center, this is key, this is so important. That's why it connects to everything. Then you need to have self-discipline and and then understanding of wisdom, right action, and self-mastery. Come back for judgment. Then you're going to go up for truth, refusal of truth, acceptance of truth. So this is feminine and this is masculine. On the world tree, we're going to focus on this is negative and this is positive. So the sun is the truth. This is what everyone was always, the wisdom and the truth, and the sun is always the ultimate. This is refusing of truth. This is acceptance of truth. The center is change and manifestation. Things that get torn down will be built anew. I like to reference this as muscles. You have to rip them apart for them to be stronger. This is slavery. This is freedom, right? This is innovation, and this is evolution, stagnation or progression, natural law and justice. Okay? So DNA connections, top, middle, justice, full. So when you actually connect these together, it's pretty interesting the way that they kind of snap into place. So what we're going to do is understand that this is feminine and masculine, negative and positive. I just think that this is so fascinating that the tree of life is just so representatory of DNA strands, and the geometrical clues are pretty remarkable. So this is just some inspirational things to consider. So we're going to start with the Fool. I wrote kind of a little bit of a story with some keywords just to kind of give some sort of connection to the cards. So we're only doing the minor or the major arcana today. So the Fool card is the thought of existence, right? The thought of being, and soul before. So maybe I should just read. Thought and soul before birth. I hold within the truth of all. I start the path of growth and self-realization to gain the gift of magic above. Loving my seed from earth to sky, Goddess Sophia cracks open the nut of darkness only a fool would enter and be labeled a nut. Joker or gesture of the deck of, a typical deck of cards. Me, I feel like it's, the soul to body birth chart. This is where you start. You know, my soul becomes I, and I have forgotten knowledge that's hidden within. Is that on my computer? Oh. From the ground I can grow a reflection from the stars at start, to earn my crown through exploring life. Alchemical balance to define my personal recipe others cannot decipher. My path moving forward is to understand intention of manifestation upon humanity as the correlating mirror of my I, connecting to source and to all. As within, so without. So, the birth wheel, life's projected tune. I love that. Sophia spoke. Stars and moon agreed to express themselves for her. Goddess Nut coded thy seed of the stars within. Spinning of the wheel brings fortune's tune and vibration of possibilities. Follow the light, follow the sun. Child of fate and destiny. Wheel spun and the odds in favor by way of luck and of karmic past lessons. Chaos of creation, a point to turn. Serendipity. Serendipity. So next we have the Hermit, one of my favorite cards. I embody, what happened? That was odd. I love this card so much. Because I tried to click it. So the inner voice and synchronicities, reminding of forgotten truth and inner wisdom. Because the fool has forgotten. So the fool is gallivantly going to go on his hero's journey, the sword and the stone, whatnot. So the inner voice and synchronicities, reminding of forgotten truth and inner wisdoms. Only a glimpse of light leads. Notice his star, sun, or ray of light. It's being held out to lead the way. But it is, you got to find the key to get in there. Only a glimpse of light leads. The presence of darkness defines the beauty and meaning of source. The magician later will unite light, empowering light from the whole sun, or son of man, from candle to celestial ray. By knowledge and thoughtful pray, understand thyself, understand all. Hermit guides so that you can lead. When you sit within yourself and you don't try and please other people, and you don't try to be up to a standard that others set upon you, it can be very hard, very lonely, but very rewarding. Especially when you see the differences, and I've always found it really hard to care about things that other people care about ever since I was really young. I guess I just have an old soul, as they say. So the first card we're going to come up to, now that we're really starting our path, is strength. It takes strength to hold convictions. It takes strength to, open the lion's mouth. It takes strength to love and nurture, even through the roughest of things. So animal instincts lead east towards the morning sun. Calmness and quiet strength of spiritual nature heals, embracing fierce serenity with courage. The moon calls a Leo's roar, sets forth graceful leadership. Lion's purity of heart and thought is now saddled up for the purpose of action. So the feminine aspect of the tree of life is very much internal, right? Emotional. And this is going to be more action, intellect, right? So we have to have the strength for what's coming next. The Chariot. The Chariot is willpower and determination will lead to victor. Opposing energies are needed, right? The lions in our previous card, if they were not cared for, would leave me too grounded, right? Because extremism and everything, like I've always said, is just not harmonious. It's not balanced. So you don't want to be too grounded. You got to go up in the sky, right? You got to have that balance of daydreaming. It's actually one of the key aspects that is ignored, is the aspect that of imagination. Believe it or not, it's like the number one most important thing. And to never let anything stop your imagination, because you will be guided through imagination. Paths lead to the sky and stars later, right? Because these cards correlate with the second tree, and you'll see how that kind of ties in together later. So prepare thy chariot and earthly animals to be led by conviction that was sowed from strength. Okay. The Lovers, most important thing as the center. With harmony and unity, the choice of duality experienced the realm of love connects to every archetype as the core and center of all physical matter. Finding the love in destruction of old and building anew will vibrate stronger later. What truthfully matters for now is to understand, is the understanding of thy spiritual love, is the bridge from earth to heaven. So our heart brain is the most important thing to actually focus on. Our heart brain and our stomach brain do connect. Did I just say stomach brain? My stomach just growled. The heart brain and your mind brain, because we are all mental, right? Matter is actually mental. So your thoughts are very powerful. Trust, this is something I fight and deal with personally and externally in my environment every day, and it's very hard. But that's a whole nother subject. The next is the Hierophant. This is like your religious card, your spiritual card. For me, it's so important. I've never believed in organized religion. It never felt right. I always can sense the manipulation, even if it's not from the deeper point. And so this is your internal spiritual card. Personal lessons of the inner spiritual relationship with oneself is the teaching. Service to spirit. Education, right? You need not be taught or told. The Hermit will assist as the wolf in sheep's clothing will cry Antichrist and will plead a call of Phallus. Thy Christ is within. The devil lingers here later, either within your self-made demons or the demons of spiritual tyrannical teachers that you need not obey, right? Natural law is your personal contract. Man's laws are flawed. Religion is flawed. And if you don't see that religion is flawed, you're never going to be able to understand the pure beauty of Jesus, of Buddha. You're never going to understand it if you believe that it is not flawed. And you're just ignoring facts. So next we have the Emperor. This is our divine masculine, right? Of authority, natural leader, building structures strategically, analytically, thinking intently, taking action, governed within. It's a fine balance of power and duality. As with the Hierophant, this role can be abused, okay, in the world. And so carry over that lesson. Temperance helps out later as the balance key for this card. The key for the role is balance is key for a role of such importance and vigor, right? The male aspect is so aggressive and taking of action, that's a very important role, because that push to the tamer archetypes can boss things around, just like in the real world. So again, this is just something to be mindful of, for sure. And we have the Empress. A mother's love embraces all the work that has been done, balance and intention of the soul. Showing the source of life at this moment, we get the presence that where life is made. Later, life is taken. Focus to live and unalive bad habits. Later, you will surely transition and experience death. Meaning of this follows the importance of the fruit of the physical, the source of nutrition, to express energy through the emperor, divine feminine of the motherhood and fertility, overflowing the prolific creativity and goddess. That's supposed to be goodness. I didn't proofread anything. I just want to get this over and done with so I don't have to think about it anymore, but I really want to make this video. Sensual abundance, nurturing with unconditional love and empathy. Unification of mind, body, and soul. Then we have the highest priestess. I really connect with this card, and this is a fun little wink to me. Powerful dreams and visions full of psychic insight, serendipity and synchronicities, introspection, knowledge now that you have forgotten. So you're starting to actually realize that there is information that you are just now starting to know that you need to remember. Law of nature, two becomes one, right? Two becomes one. Two pillars to get to center. Two become one, right? Cross. The chosen fruits feed thy soul and came rough and mutable. Excuse me. Stay in the center. Left to right we grow, but only on the central latra we climb because of Jacob, if you will. Gathered materials lead you forth to rise above. Later you will see things from a different perspective that will leave one hanged. So we have done all this work to get to this card, the one, the I, magician. Now that you remember, right, and obtain skills and talents, you can naturally manifest resourcefully with creativity inside and manifest outward for all with balance, equality, above and below. Choice is now a weaving, one to grow deeper within and connect a water source to hydrate others. Occult knowledge is neutral as truth is just that itself. A hand kept in one's pocket or taken out to assist another is where the path now leads. Through man's law, share what you have learned with a magic touch. Take heed of selfish deeds, for later justice will be called. So now we have come back. We have to do this again. What's going to happen here is that we're focused on more of the negative aspects, more of the positive, right? This is the sword, and it is a sword that they show always coming down, and it's a one-path sword. So this is a general path that you're always going to take, right? I like to look at it like the sword is in the stone. And if you've learned what you need to learn up to at the top of the tree, you will be able to pull the sword out, okay? Pull that sword. The magician can now pull the sword out of the stone. It's laying on the table, and now he has his wand to perform his magic. So we're going to go down in judgment. You always think that judgment is like judgment when you go meet God at the end of life, at the gates. Well, judgment is more about judgment upon yourself, judgment upon how others judge you, right? So judgment is kind of this little starting path of what's now here to come. It's kind of like your second, didn't I say that somewhere? It's your second spinning, your second birth chart wheel, right? So redemption, knowing your motives. You now know, you now remember. On the heart central level with transparency, right? Revealing of spirit and self-assessment, and the reflection of the world viewed from other perspectives. New birth chart, if you will, crafted by the magician, or the magic of self-choice. Choices will guide your snake's path, building connections to Centralatra. That's just fun to say. Snaked branches locked in central climbs. Snakes and ladders define. So now we're going to represent the snake, and the snake's going to travel and weave through all these different experiences, and it could be a myriad of things. You could go hit this back again, and you could be entangled through this very intently, right? And it's going to be divined personally for everybody. And that snake is going to climb up, right? Hopefully with as many people for the world, for the ultimate eye, to the top. But if you just keep center, you will not slide down. You have to just keep climbing. What is our ultimate goal, right? Our ultimate goal is, the sun represents inner beauty and joy. Before the Hermit set forth a fulfillment of goals, pure as the fool with crown obtained, manifesting dreams from the sky to Centra, positive love, exuberant creativity, a card that says, yes, child, continue. It's like the fool again, but yet he's riding his horse. So then we're going to go to the moon. Hidden truths and illusions and emotional pull can sneak in. Conform from pleasure as comfortability, being comfortable basically, rewards you now, but the payment will loom ahead. So be careful of this card. The unknown and facing fears, or to claim benefit from sunglasses at night, right? You got to face your fears. You got to find the benefit. Know that there's a lesson to be learned. So the unknown and facing fears is how you use this card to your benefit, right? How you do not use this card to your benefit is to claim there is a benefit from wearing sunglasses at night, right? Why would you do that? Because you were told to do it? Because that's what you're supposed to do. Intuition of the unconscious mind, mystery, symbolism, and metaphor. It took strength to get here, and it still is needed for this moon moment. Because its balance, its other card is strength, right? So you need that. Uncertainty of dreams and perceptions. Questions will still linger, and it will take strength to, to balance. So now we're over at the stars. Wishes are granted, an opportunity to act towards others, pouring water where needed in balance for the pure good of the sun and lessons from the moon. Healing eye to help eye. Knowing this is the right path. So keep going. Inspiration to temper more stars for the one made Suntra. Now we have so this is the Chariot. Remember, we talked about the Chariot. We wanted the Chariot to be able to not be too grounded. We got to be able to travel up to the skies. We got to be able to have balance. It's just like the Temperance card, and it's very similar. The Tower card is just like the Love card. You have to break things down to build them better, to fix the flaws, and correlate to natural law. Keep it simple, black and white, right? So chaos of unexpected change, challenged beliefs, a new awareness and perspectives as you rebuild the questioning and choices of yourself. Moon lingers for changes at all times, always needed as it is in divine order. Ride the waves and build anew. Muscles rip apart to become stronger. Love taught us much in every aspect and can rip the tower to grow as needed in every archetype for purpose, as why it is centra and connected to all. Love and tower, the yin and the yang. So the Devil card. One of the key things that I love about this card is the chains that bind them are loose, meaning this is a self-prison. They could take those chains off if they want to. Okay? There's so much symbolism in everything, but I'm really trying super hard to keep it simple. It's already going to be wickedly long, but it's going to have to be, right? Vice and addiction loom. Liberation is needed, and a healthy version of the questionable behaviors seek attention. I have a very personal relationship with this card. Healing starts here. Manipulation and lying to yourself or believing from others resides in divine order to resist. Temptation and being trapped in old ideals. Temperance temperance behind and ahead, right? Because before is this, which is very temperance-like, and then the next card is temperance, right? Temperance behind and ahead is the choice. Oh, temperance behind and ahead, from what I just said, and the choice to do or don't. Careful as the card interplays with Hierophant, so take heed to the outwards face being what they claim not, and look within for the highest spiritual connection or self and of source. So the Hierophant is this card. Isn't that interesting? That the card that it claims spots or seats with is the one that represents religion, when it shouldn't be religion. It's knowledge, education, and inner self workings. So I find it interesting, because that card does represent religion for a lot of people, but look at the card that it's actually with. So temperance. Alchemy, blending energies, moderation, balance, and duality are results of mixing fluidity of the idea of time, powerful motion of frequency, and of life's neutral resistance that give way of energy force. Purpose and patience is the accompany card for the masculine tendency from the Emperor. In danger, to drink, to feel, or slow down constant action. Alchemical balance is not measured and cared for. It can lead to ailment elixirs. Balance. So again, for me, being an alcoholic, I have a strong Emperor male aspect to me. Very strong. Very strong feminine from my mother, but very strong Emperor. And alcohol is my devil. So this card means a lot to me as well. I think that a lot of people in power, or a lot of people that are very pushed for action, I think that for me personally, it helps calm me down and relax a little for a go, go, go mind. Next card is Death. Transformation, change, a new belief, symbolic death, if you will, of old ideals, place of hard lessons, but always an opportunity to build anew and direct connections. The direct connections to the devil is the Hangman, Towers, and Justice speaks to the snake's pass up the ladder for I and all. Express gives birth. The Empress did not proofread this. The Empress gives birth and will hold her child's hand through death and rebirth. Because this is the Empress spot, right? So as she brings life into the world, this card also takes life out, right? Surrendering to the will of the cosmos with intended pause of reflection. Letting go to embracing the new sacrifice and the new wisdom. The world looks different, and you could never unsee truth unless made to forget. I think there is a connection to Alzheimer's and dementia, I'm telling you, but I just don't know that connection. But it's important because they want us to forget as old as time we've been slaves. They want us to not know the truth of how powerful we are in here. The new sacrifice is a new wisdom. The world looks different. You can never unsee unless made forgot. If you dislike this perspective, cut down the tree you hang. It is a branch. So you could either cut down the branch or you can cut down the whole tree. That is a choice that you have, right? The lesson is valuable to see all perspectives. Now you travel back to the earth, to assist and help others with support of the highest priestess, to shine the light gained for others to see from whatever perception, because now you see it from this angle as well as the other. So with this tree of life, you basically want to stay to the right, but you have to go fish on the left, right? You have to get those experiences to bring balance. Because you cannot just stay to the right. And some people do. I mean, some people stay to the left, but they're not balanced, and you can see the extremism in their personalities and their actions. So stay to the right, but fish on the left. The center is our goal. Keep focused and cut the rope, right? Just cut the rope. Cut the other snakes. Cut the other snakes that are tied, have you tied up to your tree. If it strangles you, and find it, go find that snake. Find what's tying you up in a perspective way that you don't really care for. Now that you've seen it from this perspective, now you want to get down and do something else. So cut that rope and then come back to your tree. Water the tree and the forest that it grew in. That's the whole purpose, is you are here to help the world now. You have gained knowledge, and if you want to be selfish and not help others, then you're going to be lingering, not center, you're going to be over here. So these are all choices. You do have free will. Justice. Now justice, because it's black and white. See, judgment, right? Judgment, that's an opinion. You're judging yourself. Others are judging you. Does it make it right or wrong? No, that's judgment. Justice. Justice is truth and what results from it, right? So natural law, balance, magical karma, fairness with cause and effect on a spiritual level versus judgment. Objectivity, accountability, and order. Endless paths can be taken. Nothing is streamlined as presented. Man will judge and make laws. Did you follow when it was wrong? Even though man made a law and it's wrong, did you follow it? The work within is always progress. But the force is now to the whole. This journey will have a marking from past, present, and future in every single moment till we meet here. Justice Day, not Judgment Day, justice. Magic was used. Who and what was fed? what is next. Then we have the World. This is the other card. So the Fool's the 0 card, and we end as the World card. This is usually represented as a snake eating its own tail as well, the circle going through the portal. 2 wands, you know, one for her and one for the universal whole. Infinity, there's just so much going on here. So completion, wholeness, abundance, achievement, next level of consciousness, travel, success, happy endings. As with all seen through the Fool, now as one, we now have that connection to all. The ones in the collaborated expression while we continue to grow within left and right to get to gather and get the materials needed for the latter north. Earthly portal opens as your birth chart is colorized before your very eyes. All elements convene. Ascend or be fooled again, right? You're going to ascend, or are you going to become a fool again? Are you going to beat the game? If you are, what's next? Or if you have to redo it, restart, that's hell. You're going to have to just go through the lesson again. But there's a reason for it. So the more you try and figure out that reason, you're fulfilling your purpose, right? With that, embrace the Fool for the World. The Hermit for sunlight, judgment of choice, judgment of astro self, reincarnated judgment, and birth wheel meet at the center, Fool and World. The Sun and Hermit meet. Remember the Sun and Hermit? The Hermit's leading a light that's trapped within a box. It's poking through, and it is leading the way, right? Do they need to marry for a new or cap off with the crown to ascend? So what's interesting with the Tree of Life is to look at the cards before and after are interesting, to compare the 2 trees and see which cards are overlaid are interesting as well. Then you can get into the whole concept of marrying them together for the DNA strand. When you ascend, your DNA strand's done here for the earthly realm, basically, I think. So when you become a fool again and you have to reincarnate, you know, you're building the ladder and twisting the forms of geometrical hints. So these are the Hebrew alphabet to go with the card placements. So these are the correlating cards. They're just so much fun. You can pause and look deeper into it. Very cool. The Fool and the World. Look at the similarities, right? Or the yin and the yang to the concepts. These are all the Fool cards in the Fool Hebrew, and this is the World. Oh, and then like just the, you know, 0, and then 1 plus the World. Then we have 10, the World and Judgment. This is when you know, if you have to reincarnate, when you're the Fool and you get your birthing chart, this is going to be based on the Judgment from before, from past lives. So these 2 cards really mean a lot. A lot of times this is represented as like the ups and the downs. I just see it in a different way. And there's my shape. I love it. And this is going to be the Hermit and the Sun. I didn't do the titles on these. Obviously I didn't proofread these slides. So the Hermit, one of my favorite cards, and this is my personal deck that came to me out of all these decks. I love this deck so much. And the Sun, right? I love this. He has the Sun is captured away, and your goal is to find the Magician is going to open this and be aware. Strength and the Moon. One of my cards. Everyone has cards for their birthday, and I'll go into that a little bit later. And we have the Chariot and the Star. Don't be too grounded, right? But be of action. The Lovers and the Tower. Got the Hierophant and the Devil. The Emperor and Temperance. The Empress and Death. Notice rebirth. So this is not only, this is more or less rebirth of the internal, but many interpretations. Just the general gist. One of my favorite cards, Highest Priestess and the Hanged Man, the Magician and Justice. How did you use what you've learned? How did you use your magic? No one's going to judge you at this point. At this point, I mean, you will deal with judgment because of this through your second tree of life, but the point is that when it's time for you either ascend or reincarnate, right? What did you do here? Justice will. There is no judgment. You either did good or bad. You know, at least no one's perfect, but man, if you could at least be 51% doing good and 49 doing the latter, you're at least weighed in a better favor. But you know, so this is just really cool to look at. Just the tree it looks just like the roots. It's as above, so below. When you look at all these different things, the eyeball in my Minecraft thing just looks like this. It's really cool too. We'll get to that later. But these are all things just to suggest to look more into. When you look at this cube, you can imagine that this is a pyramid going in, and they're all meeting at the base, and that's what I came up with when I did this, right? But just different, but the same. The points of 6 pyramid meet at the center of the cube, right? And then so it goes on. It's just something to look into, the number of everything. Sphere of heaven, sphere of humanity, earth, the heart, and the sphere of earth, the root, throat, crown. This is highly interesting. DMT and the myth of Osiris. Just something fascinating, definitely. I would like to read this. A man who lies to himself and believes his own lies becomes unable to recognize truth, right? Either in himself or in anyone else. And he ends up losing respect for himself and for others. When he has no respect for anyone, he can no longer love, and in order to divert himself, having no love in him, he yields to his impulses, indulges in the lowest forms of pleasure, and behaves in the end like an animal. And it all comes from lying. Lying to others and lying to yourself. Again, the sword is placed in the stone, but as you work up the first tree of life, you are able to slide that sword out of the stone, right? The snake is traveling up. It is not traveling down. And it is going to take many different paths. But if you keep yourself at least hooked around the center and embrace the challenges, embrace the building of anew, you will not slide too far. But he is slippery. You're always going to slip and slide a little bit. But you have to be aware of that super fun chart right here. These are the minor arcana cards, right? Great references, something to start looking at. I am unfamiliar with the way that these are the paths. I don't get that yet. I haven't looked into that yet. Some references, symbolisms, fun stuff. So for example, what led me to want to know my cards? I was looking at all the cards when I got this deck, and I fell in love with this deck so much. The first card that I saw that I said, I connect with this card. I don't know why, I don't even know what it means yet, I haven't looked it up, but this card is my card. Okay? Look at the light bulbs for balloons. I absolutely love it with the book. Okay? So then I started flipping through, and, you know, some of them connected, they all did, but there were, then I had a second card that like slapped me in the heart, in the face, and said, this is you. It was this card. And at that point, I said, I know there's a way to find out what cards are yours. So I did that. And they're both mine. The Moon card as well. The Knight of Cups, Ace and Princess of Swords. I don't really understand the paths yet, but so the journey begins. This is the practical plane, the mental plane, spiritual plane. So I got this cube a long time ago. I did a video, and it's really cool because I had messed up, I thought, but really I didn't. It all makes sense. So I made the 21 card, also 22. If you look into it, it's just really super cool. You can check out that video, but the interlockings on the inside are all of what really truly matters, which is a whole lot of sixes for love, whatever you want to interpret it as, right? Occultism is what you make of it. You either do good or bad. But six is repertory of love. Also the beginning and ending, right? This is all at the center of the two trees of life. So here's our first tree of life, right? With the center in there. And then we're also going to have the second tree of life of good and bad, right? In center. When you flip it in for the shape in the middle, look what you have. Every single one of the minor arcana cards. Aces representing the center, whole, and interlocking. And when you do studies, you'll understand how cool that is. And then also the page and the prince. So the prince and the princess cards roll together to be the jack. That's my interpretation of it. And then we have this is so, I mean, this is so cool, and this kind of goes back to what he was saying, how they all meet in the center. When every major arcana card is on the outside surface of this cube, right? So where do they all point to in the middle? Where do they all point to? In the center, right? center. And this just gets, uh-oh, I just messed up my cube. Okay, so this is 2 of those cubes put together. This is the cube basically pluffed out. And this fits perfectly into the shape. And notice that the square in the middle, it's just like a 3D representation. You could zoom in and see. Now this one is different. This one is using 3. But it's 2 of these with a square in the middle. Remember, we talked about how important the square is. The star is important. The triangle is important, right? The more you just delve into stuff like this, it's just so cool. The things that pop up. Oh, and Jupiter's the one that reminded me of this stuff, because I've had this for years, and Bryson's had this for a couple years, and I made this shape, and I was like, oh my god, this is the coolest thing, but I don't know why. I knew it was cool, and I didn't know why. I know why now. Alright, just going into just stuff. There's all the pieces to the puzzle, and I know they go together. Specifically how, I'm not quite sure, but this was my aha moment of the, because I had watched Mark Passio's information on the tarot, his 2 videos, and just lovely, but it was still new to me. And then I did a whole bunch of other research from different sources. Then I watched it again, because they're all a little bit kind of different, and it just made so much sense. So this is my little brainstorm of it coming out to fruition. I was researching something, and it was coming up, oh, it was a lineage thing. These people and their surnames and hints and clues and synchronicities are crazy, and so it was like, at the time you would get in trouble for speaking against the church, basically, right? So what did they do? I mean, people would create a book with no words. You create the words, but you can't get in trouble for symbolisms in a book of pictures, right? So they were hidden knowledge, occult knowledge. If people knew what you were doing, it was, you'd be killed. So, and even still, like, you can see the wanting you not to know, like in the way that this is read. This is some basically like poetry read out loud, like story time, and they just blew it off as kind of a certain language, or just a certain level of, I can't think of the word I'm trying to use, but nonetheless. So I wanted to read this concept in the way they describe it. So this is supposed to represent a woman giving birth, right? A swollen woman sat in a swollen road, a swollen child she held in her lap, swollen hand and swollen feet, swollen flesh that will take this blow, swollen wood, swollen iron, and that will give this blow. The pain goes out from bone to flesh, from flesh to skin, from skin to hair, from hair to grass. Let Mother Earth receive the pain. The meaning of the poetic charm, a taking cure, is uncertain. Possibly it is intended as a cure for edema. The swollen woman of line 1 and swollen child of line 3 may both be patients, or perhaps only one of them. The charm transfers the swelling from the patient to wood and iron, possibly referring to medical instruments, and hence to the earth. See, the thing is that the people in the religious power, they know occult knowledge. They don't want you to know. So it's just embarrassing when you see them try to explain this, when there's an obvious representation to me. And hence to the earth. On the other hand, the swollen woman and child held in her lap referred to pregnancy. The chanter may be the midwife, and the poem's editor's notes the fittingness. So blah, blah, blah. That just, first of all, the swollen woman sits in a swollen road, or she has a swollen seed within her, on her path. Okay? The swollen child, the child she bears, right? She holds in her how many religious depictions of the Virgin Mother holding the child, right? Swollen hands. The child has swollen hands. A swollen feet, swollen flesh. So he starts, Jesus, we'll just use something that we can all relate to for the most part. He gives, as a fool, right, as the beginning of his life is swollen. The mother's swollen, that's for sure. So is the child. Now it says, that will take this blow. We all, like, we're being told that this child is going to take a blow. I mean, what do you think that means? Right? Swollen wood of a cross. Swollen iron of nails. That will give this blow. The wood and the iron will give this blow to this child from the mother. The pain goes out from bone to flesh. What was it I looked at? From the first slide, it reminds me of the Horus. Anyways, from bone to flesh, from flesh to skin, from skin to hair, from hair to grass, let Mother Earth receive the pain. It's interesting. So I wrote a couple of these poems, and I'm going to go ahead and read them. My face is really close, but whatever. This really happened the other day, right before Christmas, and it just came to me because I saw a quote that is a very famous quote that we've all looked at and seen a million times, that it's not about what's under the tree, but who's around it that really matters. So my poem is named Dig Deeper. You gotta go deeper than that, right? That's too easy. It's too easy to say it's not about presence of material items under the tree. It's about the people and the love around the tree. Yes, of course. But let's dig deeper. If sought, if sown, let it shine. Gems under thy tree set free. Land roots take, the roots they snake. Individuals or initiates ingredients comprised of eye, whisking about, senses perk towards trees. Roots tended, ones are pretended, ones that are presented. Frequencies roar, people tune, they gather around your tree. So who are you going to have gathered around your tree? Who are you going to welcome in to sit amongst your tree, right? They're going to be people that are pretending. They're going to be people that you choose to present. But are they good for you? Are they good for your tree? Are they nurturing your tree? It's either nourished love or lumberjack. Keys within boxes placed at the skirt. Screaming or whispering, it is conveying alert. Shining light upon hidden words in thy book. So the words are becoming clear now that you are studying your own book. Appearing as a fishing hook. Fisherman, purpose defined. Entangles strings, define, and defend eye from eye. Sword is pulled. Sword protects. Plague of man, never forget. Light is all, defined by dark. Let it shine upon thy arc. Right? The beaker, the mark, let us embark. Dig a little deeper. Love that. This is a poem that I wrote when I was pregnant with Bryson. It was much shorter. I have it up on the wall with spelling errors and all. And I refined it when I found out who my father was. And then I just refined it again. And I'm very pleased with the way that it came out. But it's too hard to read. But I did it in the snapshot, and I still love it, and I'm still gonna play on it. But the point is that it's janky to where I don't want to have it be my main world. So I started a new main world, won't do snapshots on it, and something pretty remarkable happened because of it. So let's see here. Oh, it's been a while. Ooh. Delay. Anyways, let's go see what I've done, and then remember the card that I said I connected with. So here's an egg. Before I got this new deck, like, I didn't even hear of egg being a thing yet, and this was my egg mountain. I even titled that in my video. And I was gonna do, like, I want to do like chakras. I want to do represent the egg. That looks like a little pyramid. Water and lava, right? Stairway to heaven. Love this. Oh, I didn't mean to hit that button. So I got like all the fish flowing down here. It's fun. How fun is this though? I love this staircase. Look at that. All the way up. Look at that. Love it. I'm gonna make this a bridge. Now here's the fun story about the current world, okay? So, I have Virgin Mother Mary was my first survival world when I learned the game with Bryson, and it has only ever been, it's never had cheats, it's only survival, though I have played in peaceful mode, which is the way I like to play. I'll turn on killing mobs if I need to, but other than that, I don't, it's just not, it's not fun for me. I want to create anyways, each to their own. So the seed, I tried to go beat I still haven't beat the dragon. It's really kind of silly, and I was like, I'm gonna go beat the dragon in this world. And then the stronghold ended up being like under the ocean. It was really complicated, and I was tired and then not in the mood to do it, and so I was like, whatever. And that's when I decided to start a new seed. And what I did was I actually, and the whole world was, there was no, it was only nothing but like Soul Sand Valley in the Nether. Like, I traveled the whole thing around it. So what I did was, let's just play it real quick. So this seed, I plugged in to do a 118 seed. So I'm actually playing this same seed. Oh, that's right, I can't fly. So this seed, I'm like right on the, there's ocean to my left and right. This is my first little world. There's my villagers, there's Adam and Eve's place. Bryson worked so hard getting this panda over here from the jungle. You have no idea. That was quite the adventure. It was a really fun trident adventure in this world too. So I started this seed again. Oh, here. Like, this is soul sand everywhere. It's just absolutely ridiculous. I checked portals everywhere. So I was like, whatever. So I put in the same seed. You know how I love seeds. Plant a seed, you know, grow a tree. Point is to nurture and sow the earth to get to the sky. So now let's look at the seed that I landed upon. Now I put it into the seed thing online to see like a general map of what the seed layout is, because it's completely different. Ooh, that took a minute, huh? And I got a lot of fun mods on this one. Look at the leaves. Okay, so I am so excited about this. Look at my custom tree, my first custom tree. And then this is my second custom tree. Cool, huh? Oh, but okay. Glands. Love this. The stronghold is literally right there. There's a mushroom island, and there's a mansion right past through, going north through the delta, or through the mesa, excuse me. So I just want to show what I did. I absolutely love it. There was a hole in the mountain over here, and I was like, that kind of looks like an eye. Well, I went for it. A cute little. Got to show off everything. Look, in this mod you can half grow trees. Super cool. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, we're gonna do cool stuff with that. Look at that. So cool. So we'll have 3 bridges. This is the center bridge, the 2 towers, just like the highest priestess, right? Pillars of duality. Here's a bridge and a bridge, and they're going to come over here and they're going to connect right here. These are 3 cactuses that were here naturally. I added 3 bamboo to specify or to signify the Trinity, so I kept it there. This was a really cool heart, but it didn't, I needed it. I was going to keep the heart because I love hearts, but these are still here to signify what used to be land. I dug it all out so that we could see. It's just going to bug me. I love it. And the cave was naturally back here already. So if you go through to the right side, it will come out through the mesa. Now there's the Eye of Horus and the Eye of Ra, right? This is the Eye of Horus. If I do it opposite, it's the Eye of Ra. I was thinking about maybe doing it right there. That's it. So I am back playing Minecraft. I started smoking cigarettes again, and I just quit. So now this is what relaxes me. Calms me down. I have a lot more energy. Quitting smoking I knew was really number 1 that I had to do. And to stay sober. Those 2 things really affect me on levels that are undescribable. It just really sucks. I really enjoy smoking. I don't even enjoy drinking anymore. It's just such a disease, mental and physical disease. But I enjoy smoking. It's really hard, but I end up just running back constantly smoking. It's just absolutely exhausting, but I think that's it for now.